Breaking news tonight, the SBA has released details on the targeted EIDL advances. Lots of questions are answered here. This just came out a little earlier, and it answers the major questions we've been having. When are they going to start emailing people? And does the SBA plan to open up to more people? And do you have to reapply? This is a great document. This is a 4-page document I'm going to get into. Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to get this out tonight because it's the most substantial news we've seen regarding the $40 billion since the bill was signed into law. I'm going to leave a link to this right in the description so you can read it yourself. It's also going to be on our app. Again, it's our free app tracking all of this. Track EIDLgrant.com to get the app. And thank you so much for subscribing. We try to cover breaking news to give you an advantage when it comes to grants and loans, and by just hitting subscribe and turning on the alerts, it helps us immensely. Okay, let's dive in. I'm going to go through it very quickly, and then I'll loop back to some other areas that I think are important to emphasize. Can I apply now? No. Applicants must wait until they receive an email invite from the SBA to apply for the new targeted EIDL advance. As they released about a week ago, they're doing 2 priority groups. The first group will be for previous EIDL advance folks who received an amount less than $10,000, who fall into the targeted EIDL advance category. The second priority group are for the folks who applied before December 27th but did not receive any EIDL advance. So basically they're going by that order. Number 1, the folks who received partial the first time. Number 2, the folks who applied but didn't receive anything because funding had run out. Number 2, when will the SBA begin sending email invites to the first priority group? The SBA will begin sending email invites to businesses and nonprofits that received an EIDL advance in the amount of less than $10,000 starting on February 1st, 2021. Now, here is the important note. It may take several weeks before all emails are sent to businesses in the first priority group, so please do not be alarmed if you do not receive your email invite right away. Stay tuned, but they're starting today. And of course, we would love to hear in the comments when you receive yours. We're also going to track this on the app as well. Important anti-spam note, because earlier this evening we published a post about scammers. All communications from the SBA will be sent from an official government email with an SBA.gov ending. Please do not send sensitive info via email address to anyone else. And even it's possible to fake emails as well. So just be aware of that and make sure it seems legitimate. Earlier tonight on our blog, we published how to spot PPP scammers, and we went into the 4 types of scams that are taking place: fake government officials, fake lenders, fake loan applications, and social media scammers. We talk about that here. You can see this on our blog at Hello Skip. I'll leave a link in the description, and it's on our app as well. But let's jump back here. Point number 3, when will the SBA begin sending email invites to the second priority group? That's the folks who applied last year but didn't receive anything. The SBA will closely monitor the rate of applications and approvals for the first priority group and will announce a projected start date for the second priority group at a later date. This frustrates me a little bit because it's not very difficult math. The SBA knows who's owed what right now. They could very quickly see, based on business zip code, calculate who's owed what. We do that with our app. If you want to see, number 1, if you are in a low income area and you qualify for targeted, and number 2, how much you would qualify for based on what you received or didn't receive the first time, we show you that on the app in 2 seconds. The SBA clearly knows this would be so easy to do for them to figure out, okay, we are going to owe people $10 billion in bucket number 1, then we'll go to bucket number 2. This to me surprises me. It's really, really easy to basically say, all right, we approved 5 million advances last time, so that's group number 1, and of those 5 million, let's say 80% got less than $10,000, but based on their address, we know that 20% or 10% are targeted EIDL grants. Do the math and figure out what it is. It's very simple. So that bugs me a little bit that they can't be more precise. This is taking a long time as it is. Number 4, does the SBA plan to open up the program to new applications beyond the first 2 priority groups? As you've seen on our app, and here we go, I'm going to open it up, only 6% of you, it's the 5.8% at the top, but let's round up to 6%. Only 6% of you are eligible for either group 1 or group 2. Again, this is based on the inputs on the app here. You can quickly see what you're eligible for, where you fall. So that means that 94% of you have this question number 4. But just search Hello Skip in the App Store or click the link in the description to get the free app. You can quickly see if you are in the groups 1 or 2, or you would fall in the next group. And this question is for you. Does the SBA plan to open up the program to new groups? Currently, there are no plans to open up the targeted EIDL advance program to new applicants beyond the first 2 priority groups. The SBA's ability to accept new applications will depend on the availability of funds, which the SBA will closely monitor. Again, we know this, and it would probably take the SBA around around 2 hours, that's being conservative, for them to quickly ballpark how much they would owe for group number 1, how much they would owe for group number 2, and if there would be money left over. I get that they are being conservative here. They don't want to get people's hopes up. I've said this many times. We've done the math. I mean, we have a lot of data at the aggregate level where we can see at a high level, yeah, I think there's going to be lots of money left. But I understand that the SBA doesn't want to say that. Question number 5, do I have to reapply if I received less than 10K of the advance funds? No, you do not. The Targeted EIDL Advance is a different program than the original EIDL Advance and has a different process. Here, the SBA will reach out directly to EIDL applicants who received an EIDL advance of less than $10,000 and provide instructions to the business owners about how to provide the SBA with the required information to determine eligibility. Okay, so that's interesting there. The SBA will ask you, okay, you may qualify, but we are going to need more information to determine eligibility. As opposed to the SBA saying, yeah, you qualify, they're probably going to ask for something for you. And then they're going to say how to submit documentation for any additional grant funds, okay? So expect that they'll ask you something. I mean, most likely it's going to be the revenue reduction, right? The Targeted EIDL grant has revenue reduction in it. You have to be down, I believe, 30% over an 8-week period. Number 6, should I reapply if I didn't receive the original EIDL advance funds because those funds were exhausted? No, the Targeted EIDL advance is a different program than the original EIDL advance and has a different process. This is basically saying the same thing that was in point number 5. Let's skip to number 7. While I am waiting for the SBA invitation to apply for the Targeted EIDL Advance, what are some things I can do to prepare to apply? Well, the SBA doesn't say it, but I'm saying it because we built a free app. So of course I'm going to plug it here. TrackEIDLgrant.com for our free app to see if you qualify. That's one thing you can do. But here's what the SBA says. If you have not filed your 2019 federal tax return, you should complete that process. You will also be required to provide the business's monthly gross receipts for each month from January 2019 through the most recent month-to-date period. So basically get your accounting squared away. This information will be used to determine if you are eligible for the reduction requirement. That's 30% reduction that I just mentioned over an 8-week period beginning March 2nd, 2020. What documentation will I need to provide? Okay, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Applicants who meet the low-income community criteria will be asked to provide gross monthly revenue. Again, we already talked about that. To confirm the reduction in revenue. And this will be all forms of combined monthly earnings received, such as profits or salaries. They may also be asked to provide 4506T to allow the SBA to request tax information. If they want to go deeper, they may ask for that. They don't say anything else about the low income criteria, which is surprising, but maybe we'll get to that here. Let's see. Number 9, my business is located in a U.S. territory. What documentation does the SBA require from us? So if you're in the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, CNMI, or Puerto Rico, there's information for you here. Eligibility. Let's talk about eligibility. We're almost done here. My business moved since I originally applied for EIDL assistance. Am I still eligible for the targeted advance? Okay, the SBA will reach out to you to confirm your address. If your address has changed, the SBA will request additional documentation to confirm the location. Once the location is confirmed, the SBA will determine if the location is located within a low-income community. So the SBA is going to determine if you're in a low-income community. You know, it's pretty clear about what's determined as low-income community. So the SBA will determine that. So anyway, if that's your situation, the SBA will reach out to you. Number 11, who is eligible for the new Targeted EIDL Advance? I've gone over this lots of times, so I'm not going to repeat it again, but fewer than 30 employees, 30% revenue decline, and in a low-income community. We have not filed the 2019 federal tax return. Are we still eligible? In most cases, SBA requires this, so their recommendation is for you to file this. Are agricultural enterprises eligible for the new Targeted EIDL Advance? Oh, nice typo there, SBA. So you can see that, you know, maybe they have a couple copywriters here, but maybe I'll mention this to the SBA so they can fix their typo here. No, if you're agricultural enterprise, you're not eligible. What types of businesses are not eligible? Again, this is on the form, but illegal activities, loan packaging, speculation, multi-sales distribution, gambling, investment, or lending. Program criteria. I'm going to skip some of these because there's a lot here, and of course I'll link to this in the description, and it's on our app, TrackEIDLgrant.com. Right at the top is a post with this, and at the same time you can see if you're eligible and how much you're eligible for. How do you determine whether a business is in a low-income community? Here we go, the holy grail question. We use the definition of low-income communities outlined in subparagraphs 1, 3, 4, and 5 of 26 USC 45D. The SBA will determine if your business is located in a low-income community based on the applicant business address. Now, we pulled this data set and we use a lookup to get this data, so if you're wondering how we get it on the app, it's through this information. 17, do I have to repay any Targeted EIDL Advance that I receive? No. How much can my business receive from the Targeted EIDL Advance funds? Businesses can receive a maximum of $10K. We've been over that. What can you use it for? The advance funds can be used for working capital and normal operating expenses. These include, but aren't limited to, continuation of healthcare benefits, rent, utilities, and fixed debt payments. How long will it take to receive the advance funds once my information is submitted to the SBA? The SBA's goal is to process all requests within 21 days of receiving a completed application. That's still a long time, pretty generous, 3 weeks there. And again, they say at the top they're going to start emailing people today, but it may take several weeks. I hope a lot of this is just to set expectations so then they can wow us when they get back within a few weeks. That's my hope. Will the targeted EIDL advance be subtracted from PPP? No, that's a new provision in the new law, which is good news. So you don't need to subtract your $10K. How does the SBA define gross receipts? Gross receipts include all revenue in whatever form received or accrued from whatever source, including the sales of products or services, interest, dividends, rent, royalties, fees, or commissions, reduced by returns, allowances for the acceptable business. You can read this yourself. Who should you contact if you have any other questions? Email targetedadvance@sba.gov. And there you go, the 23 bullets. I'm really excited that they put this out today. Links for all this in the description. And as always, track EIDL Grant or HelloSkip in the App Store and Google Play to get our free app to see which bucket you fall in. As always, stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow.